to use one's own story in a sermon can be a very important thing to do, very helpful for the congregation. It needs to be done with great thought and great care. One of the major, and maybe an easy test, would be, does this self-disclosure make a hero of me? If so, it's not going to be helpful to helping the congregation hear the Word of God, because the preacher has then set herself up or himself up to be an example of how one ought to live. And when we find ourselves confronted by an example, we often are not emboldened ourselves or enabled to then feel the grace of God, but instead find ourselves fairly poorly measuring up to the example we've been given. There's a wonderful essay by Niedenthal, I can't remember his name right now, that is about the difference between the ironic and the heroic in preaching. The heroic is what I've just described. The ironic is all the characters in the Bible who are filled with faults and yet through whom God's grace shines. So if there's a way, something a preacher has to share with the congregation that can touch on that irony, it will probably be a very helpful window for the congregation into the preacher's own perspective, own self. And that's a really important test to give it. If there's anything about the story that might cause the congregation to feel like it needs to be concerned about the preacher, it's going to make the preacher of more power and importance than the Word of God, and that's a dangerous thing. So there's these cautionary words that we need to keep in mind when we're thinking about anything that's self-disclosing.